Hey everybody, happy 2026. Hope you had a lovely break. I feel like I'm on a slightly weird angle today, out of practice. Fee, you win. You win the logging in. I know that Karen and Craig are at Hamilton Island. Is Joan there with you as well? Hope that the whole family's there. Hello. Who came on second? I think Kay was second, and Rita. Hello. Who else? David, Rob. Good day. How you going? Jeff and Sue. Hello. I'm sorry about the two different links this afternoon. I had a bit of trouble with the technology, so it was behaving a little bit differently from when we stopped a few weeks ago. So there's obviously been oh good, excellent, thanks Jill. Jill's found something that we were looking for earlier. Hello Emily and Kevin, how are you? Hi David, how are you doing? G'day Shell. Stanley Tucci Negroni. Oh, you have to tell us how you make one of those. I'll tell you how you make a Kate McIntyre Negroni. Kay Farrow, how are you going? Emily's having Negroni and Kevin's having a Pinot Gris. I know Negronis are not for everyone, but very good reason, as I sort of outlined in the email, why I was making Negronis today. So as we're all, it's a bit of a dry argument for the McIntyres at the moment. While I chat, let me show you what I'm making. So I am making an all-Australian Negroni. Madani, who we'll talk about a little bit more later, makes lots of vermouths and other products, and this is one of their other products. This is called Roselle, and it's red and it behaves a bit like Campari. So I do make it by watching his very famous YouTube video. I've never watched it, Shell. I have to admit. Kay's having a mojito. So this smells quite different from Campari, but also reminiscent. I think it's made from hibiscus and various Australian herbs. So I've got a little 30 ml jigger. And when you're making cocktails, one of the rules, and I'm not quite sure why, but I think it's probably if you stuff it up, then you're not wasting the most expensive. They say put the least expensive product in first and the most expensive product in last. So this and the vermouth are much the same. We'll do this first. So I do 30 mils of this one. There's 4 of us here today. Jill's cooking up some little mini spring rolls for us because we're feeling a bit like it's time to celebrate the end of the summer holidays. So a little bit of junk food to just say goodbye to that naughty eating side of things. Nareem, hello, and to all the dyes, lovely to see you. I have the Madani vermouth sweet. So we do 30 mils of this as well. So I'm a very simple cocktail maker, as you know, from previous cocktail making with Kate. So I know that some people do slightly different ratios of vermouth to Campari / bitters to gin. I like to make a Negroni with just exactly the same amount of all 3 things in it. So 30 mils of Roselle, 30 mils of sweet vermouth. And that smells beautiful too. I'll come back to that because that's pretty exciting. It's got some really cool things in it. And 30 mils of Barney's Balcombe Coastal Gin. This is a little mini bottle. Sometimes when I order gin from Barney, he's run out of the full-size bottles and he sells me the little mini bottles, which don't seem to go very far. 500 mils compared to 700 mils, you wouldn't think it would make such a huge difference, but it just seems to disappear very quickly. Okie doke. So I've got ice in my glasses. Little bottles do make a click-clacking noise when you pour them. That's right. Thank you, Kay. I wondered if anyone would notice that I had the dragons on. All right. I'll tell you about the dragons as well. There's lots of stories to tell. I hope everyone's got some summer holiday stories to tell us. Alrighty. So I've got, when I bought my Medini vermouths, they sent me, it's not a treat, Polly. Polly thinks I've got dog treats. She's going to be really disappointed because it's dehydrated blood orange. Yeah, you're not going to like it, darling. Dehydrated blood orange as my little garnish. Whack one of them into each of these drinks. Whoops. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. Penny, hi. How you going? What are you drinking? We have a beautiful Australian Balcombe Medini Negroni. Cheers, everyone. Excellent. Yeah, that's pretty delicious. All right, Peter, do you want to come and get yours? And Richard and Jules? I've got one of these glasses is not like the other, but they've all got the same amount of everything in them. The ice is almost completely melted, so, you know, it's nice and cold though. No worries. Thank you. I did 2 links. The link that has, most people have found us. Yeah, the first link, if you can turn it off. Well, no, I don't know how to turn it off. I'll work that out later. That's all right, Penny. We made Negronis. I shall run back through the ingredients. We have the Roselle Medini, which is taken the place of Campari. So this has got, and I'm going to fiddle. The writing's too small even with my new glasses because it's blue. It's also green on red, which is really difficult to read. But it's got hibiscus in it that colours it. Various roots concentrate it, make it bitter. So they're not really telling us what's in there, but it's pretty bitter. It's pretty delicious. But this vermouth, the Medini, they're using all Australian herbs. So there's wattle seed, there's strawberry gum, there's sea parsley, river mint. It's really beautiful. It's made by a Frenchman called Gilles Lapelus and a bartender called Sean Byrne. It's a beautiful product. They've been making it for a long time. And these guys were some of the, one of the businesses that got really badly affected by the Harcourt fire. Gilles also has a wine business. He's a winemaker originally. And he lost his winery and all of his wine stock, but luckily his vermouth was stored elsewhere and it survived. So here's to people rebuilding after difficult situations. Cheers. Craig wants to know, I do love larger ice blocks. Jeff and Sue, we didn't have any here at Moorooduc, but we do have an ice machine. So I thought I'd brought enough ice over, but it's all the way over in the winery and I can't be bothered to go and get more. Yes, Kay's already answered. It's not that hot in Melbourne today. It was absolutely appalling 2 days ago. Can't even remember. Once it gets over 40 degrees, my brain melts and I just turn into a melted mess, even in the air conditioning. Fowls, yes. Fowls lost their vines and their house. And really sadly, their whole flock of sheep also perished in the fire. So they had over 1,000 head of sheep on the property. Their winery and their restaurant didn't get burnt. And so if you like the Fowls wines and if you're going up that way, when it's safe to go to the restaurant, eat there, buy the wines, buy them online. They can send them to you. And there's a lot of other people who also struggle, but the Fowls, so it's up in, so Fowls is on the way to Falls Creek, but I don't know exactly where it is. Dad, can you tell me, or Peter, can you tell me where Fowls is? it's near Harcourt. It's around that Seymour, Longwood kind of area, but it's a bit further on. Avenel. It's near Avenel. It is ladies who shoot their lunch wines. Yes, Rita, absolutely. So that fire that they were talking about being a Longwood fire, actually, it's the Strathbogies. Thank you, Rob. So yeah, the fire was very big and did a lot of damage to a lot of people. So it's pretty horrendous. Now let me see what else are people asking. So Shell has said, if anyone's interested in a toffee Negroni, one of aged rum, Aperol, Amontillado, sherry, stir on ice, and garnished with grapefruit peel. That sounds pretty delicious, actually. Yum. What else have I missed? I don't think I've missed any other comments. So went there when staying in Euroa. Yeah. So yeah, it's sort of central Victoria. But the Harcourt fire got the Harcourt cool stores, which was where Gilles had his winery, also storing a lot of people's wines. And because a lot of you know our previous cellar door manager, Jeff, who has a winery up in Macedon, you'll be very relieved to hear that he was about to move his wine into that storage space the week of the fire, but he hadn't moved it yet. So he was very lucky. He's very lucky, and his wine survived to be drunk another day. So Jeff will serve Aperol in place of Campari is a softer bitters flavour. What's the maximum temperature you get here? Craig, we had the maximum temperature for this part of the world 2 days ago, and it got up to, how hot did it get, Dad? 44? 46? How hot did it get 2 days ago here? Yeah. Yes. 41.7, Dad says, but we had a hot day a few weeks ago, didn't we? We got up to about 44. It's very unusual, Craig, for it to get to 40 degrees here. Over 40 degrees, it is almost unheard of. It happened once or twice in 2009, around Black Saturday fire time, and this is I'm not sure if we've seen over 40 degrees down here since then. 40 degrees down here since then. Before now, so yeah. Penny, can I use soda instead of vermouth? You can. It'll be a slightly different drink, but you can certainly do that. There's all sorts of, if you have a Google of Campari and gin-based drinks, I think it may be called the bicicletta, or it might be, if you use, instead of gin, you use Prosecco, then it's called a negronis spagliato or something like that. It's all pretty interesting. So, Craig, are the grapes coping? Well, have a sip of my drink before I answer that question. Most of the vineyard, absolutely fine. Most of the vineyard is incredibly well established farms with deep root systems that have found groundwater, and they're happy and healthy. They've got big green gorgeous canopies, and we've put the nets on, and we've got actually quite a good crop on them as well. Thank you, Peter. Crop on them as well. Thank you, Peter. Peter's brought me some. I won't eat them straight away. Thanks, Jill. Jill's sent me some mini rolls garnished with some beautiful tomatoes and some plum sauce. Kev says, hang on. A Metara Mezcal Negroni is also a favourite in the house. I'll just substitute the Mezcal for the gin. Yeah, I mean, that works. Thank you very much. That works as well. Rita's having some Pinot Gris on skins. It's almost the same colour. It's a very good option for today. Rob's avocado trees took a serious hit. My avocado tree in Mount Eliza looks dead. I don't know whether it's going to survive. And back to the vineyard, the very young vines, and particularly the young vines on the edge of the vineyard, have been quite badly sunburnt on their leaves, and have had not enough water, because we're very short on water here as well. So we may have been able to mitigate some of the damage to the young vines by water, but the dam is almost empty, so we've just had to be really, really careful with that. So yeah, the young Pinot vines and the young Nebbiolo vines are not very happy at the moment. And I meant to do this post before we started Drinks with Kate, but I ran out of time. So if you follow Moorooduc Estate on Instagram, I'm putting up a couple of very sad photos, either later this evening or tomorrow morning, to show you what's happened to our Nebbiolo that has been doing well here up until now. So we can tell you right now that Nebbiolo does not like 40 plus degree heat. Rita's property up the road is, very, very dry. Mum's citrus grove, which is very well established, is looking really singed as well. I was going to ask her if it's own water, but I think it needs a bit of love. So yeah, it's the hot weather has been pretty tricky. Not just for the humans. Polly didn't like it much either. She's been grumpy. But yeah, most of the vines are doing okay. As I say, we've put the net on. They've got varieties on. We think we're probably about what has become the normal vintage time these days. So we think probably last week of February, early March will be when vintage starts. I agree, Kay, we need some rain, but not raining. And we were walking the dogs just before, and we got very excited because we all got drops of rain on us, but it doesn't seem to have turned into actual proper rainfall. I think I got hit with 4 drops of rain, and it seems to have stopped trying again now. I'm going to have a go at this this spring roll. Hopefully I don't burn my mouth. Are they pretty hot? Ooh. I like fried food with cocktails like this. And I think if you do a classic Negroni, you do an Australian ingredients Negroni, you do a Matoro Mezcal Negroni, which I think sounds absolutely delicious, Emily. I'm going to have to give that a crack as well. It's a wonderful combination of bitter and sweet and alcohol, and I think that is I think that's the beauty of the Negroni. They're very easy to drink, so I will warn you right now, not a good idea to have more than 1 if you're me, 2 if you're a little bit tougher than me. I'm not very good at spirits these days, so maybe 1 Negroni, start the night, and then maybe a little glass of wine after that, and you won't feel too bad. Drink lots of water. But yeah, pretty delicious, easy to drink them a bit fast, and easy to drink too much of them. So Craig's asking, when do Richard and Jeremy start tasting grapes and doing the sciencey stuff? Nareem saying gin and tonic options going down nicely. I think a gin and tonic's a safer drink to have a couple of. Negronis tend to creep up on you very quickly. I've got a very big glass of water here, so and I'm just sipping mine slowly. We won't be looking at grapes for a little while, Craig. They're still, even though they're starting to change colour, they're still small and hard and bullet-like. So we need them to soften up. We need the sugars to develop. We need the flavours to develop. And I think, if we have more extreme hot days, the vines actually shut down, whereas if we have weather that's sort of in the 20s into the low 30s, then the vines will settle down to being happy again, particularly if they got a little bit of rain. They'd really like a little bit of rain right now. And then they'll just tick along and ripen things slowly and regularly. So it just really depends on what we get weather-wise. It looks like for the next week it's going to be high 20s, low 30s, which we can cope with. But we don't want any more of that really extreme weather. But unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to wait and see. I would say sampling's probably at least a couple of weeks away, Dad, before you start sampling grapes. He said, he's got spring roll in his mouth. Penny's Campari gin and soda with a slice of orange is also going down well. Does anyone know what that's called? A Campari gin and soda? I'm sure it's got a name. January rain here so far is 1 millimetre. I know it's been, Rob, very, very sad. All of our dams would like some rain. All of our trees would like some rain. We have a man who understands the weather on the chat. So Rob, please keep us updated with weather trends and what's going on. But I think just have to cross our fingers, maybe do a little rain dance. Hopefully that will help. Okay, so what's everyone been up to over summer? Have you been drinking any good wines? Have you been anywhere fun? I know that Craig and his family are up Hamilton Island, I think, up north in the tropics. Does Jill put the yum on the rolls? Craig wants to know. I don't know what that means. Jill doesn't either. Do you know what that means, Peter? I have to admit, Craig, that these spring rolls are from our local supermarket. They're a Chinese brand and they're vegan, and they've got our local supermarket. They're a Chinese brand and they're vegan, and they've got lots of mushrooms in them, and they're quite tasty, I think. I'm sure, MSG, yes. Okay. Jill doesn't put MSG on the rolls, but they probably come laden with them. Like, no, I think the packet said no MSG. They're quite tasty, but they're not. The yum yum would be my plum sauce, Mum's saying. So not MSG, just plum sauce that we've been dipping it in, which is the plum sauce that I made last year or the year before. Thank you, Peter. Negroni Spritz or Campari Gin Fizz is what Penny's drinking. Well done, Penny. Rita wants to know, will the Nebbiolo survive? Most likely it will survive, but we won't get any fruit this year. Richard was out there today. He took a photo of the vines. Essentially, those vines, which are still quite young, even though they've been giving us a crop for the last 4 or 5 years, all their leaves have been burnt off and they're all shriveled. And so they had an amazing crop on them. So Dad's just taken a large amount of that fruit off the vines just to de-stress them as much as possible. He's going to get, I think he's going to do some live show and tell for us, so you'll get to see it. Richie's Sue, IGA. But from there's a special fridge that only has sort of Asian frozen stuff that's near the fruit and veg. It's not the main frozen section. It's a special Chinese section, and they do like frozen seafood as well. Here comes Richard with his sad story of woe.
What might have been.
Nebbiolo bunches that will never ripen. They're enormous. They are basically the side of my head. Fee wants to know if we can make verjus from them. They're probably not ripe enough to make verjus. They're really hard, and I think you'd struggle to get any juice out of them, and they'd be very sour. So that's really sad. Don't cry, Craig.
Look after them for you.
Yeah, we'll give them some love for the next 12 months, and hopefully, yeah, I know it's dreadful. Don't cry, Craig. I know. When Dad brought them up, I'm like, what have you done, Richard? And he said, well, they're not going to ripen because the vines have lost all their leaves. It's very, very sad. Anyway, have a look at Instagram later on and you'll see pictures. I think it's important for people to see what's going on. Craig, there are tears here. I won't lie. I know. We were pretty devastated. Kay says they'll come back stronger. Maybe we'll give them some love. But decorative, says Penny. Yeah, we'd rather be able to turn them into. We'll give them some love. But decorative, says Penny. Yeah, we'd rather be able to turn them into some wine. But they are beautiful and enormous bunches. Frodo's journey, the wine continues its adventure. Indeed. So, Nareem, that's a very interesting point. Nareem said, I thought Nebbiolo was fairly hardy. Obviously not. So Nebbiolo is actually, it's very sensitive to excessive heat, which is why I'm surprised that it's done all right in places like McLaren Vale. When we say hardy, it grows big and messy and you get great big bunches. So you have to do a lot of work on controlling those bunches if you want to get full phenolic ripeness and tannin ripeness. And that's the trick with Nebbiolo. Here, when we don't have unusually hot weather, we get quite a long growing period. So that's why Nebbiolo seems to have worked quite well for us for the last few years. But it seems to, I mean, those vines are young as well. And I think as those vines get older and they get their roots deeper down, they probably will be hardier. We've got 5 acres of Pinot Noir vines down here that we planted a year ago, and they're not producing fruit, so probably be okay to not get much more water. That means that they won't grow the way we'd like them to grow, so they might not get up to the wire. We might not be ready for the next phase of training for winter, but that's sort of a year lost. We don't think we'll lose the vines with 1 year of difficult conditions, but it's pretty bad. We're much luckier than a lot of people who have had not only bushfires run through their vineyards, but also significant smoke taint. So we've had a bit of smoke blowing through here, but it's been really, really windy days. So it doesn't hang around, which is good. The garden vineyard's struggling as well. We've had a problem with animals eating young vines eating young shoots in the garden vineyard, so that's a problem. Robinson, I think, is okay, but I haven't seen it since the hot weather. So, that's not. We're not looking at that every day when we walk through, but it's Jill's garden's struggling as well. So it's all a bit sad. And as I say, if anyone's got any good rain dances, do them now, because we'd really like a bit of rain now, and then not as we get closer to vintage. I'm going to have a little bit more spring roll. I haven't got any stories from the holidays from the summer really to tell you. I've been here. We've been quite busy in Celador. Craig wants to know, have I ever tasted wine with smoke? Is it a myth? So it's not a myth, Craig. It's definitely a thing. I'm not very sensitive to the flavours of smoke taint. It's a little like, we talked about some people like my father who can't smell Pinot in Shiraz. I don't really smell smoke taint unless it's really intense. But it smells a bit like an old ashtray and for people who are sensitive to it, it's awful. There's about 30% of the population who can't smell it though. If someone said, hey, here's a wine with smoke taint and it doesn't smell smoke tainted to you, then lucky you're someone who can't smell it. Richard's piping up from over there. He won't come over and tell you, so I'll tell you that one of the big problems with smoke taint is that it gets worse in the bottle. So it's usually on the skins of the grapes. So thank you, Jill. Red wine is more affected than white wine. Why a lot of people choose to make rosé in smoke taint years. So there'll probably be a lot of rosé coming off parts of Victoria who have got vines to crop from. Because if you take the skins away, then you get less influence of the smoke taint in the wine. And also people tend to drink rosé early and young and fresh. Whereas red wine, particularly if it's a red wine that you particularly fancy, people will put it down and let it age for a little while, and then that develops the smoke taint character more. But yeah, it's going to become more and more of an issue in the world, not just in Australia, but all over. Kay is saying that she's had a wine from Indigo in Beechworth region that had been affected by smoke taint, so they made a rosé to test rather than throw all the grapes out. It's a really good, interesting flavour. We're going to go on a trip together this year, Rita. Well, Rita, I'm going to answer your previous question first. What animal ate the vines? It was probably either they had deer in there a couple of years ago, and we think probably more likely wallaby this time, but we're not sure. We haven't got photographic evidence. Someone has been coming in and having a nibble, which is a shame. Enough of that. Oh dear, indeed. Thank you, David. Rita wants to know if we're going on a trip this year. There's always possibilities of a trip. We haven't really organised anything. We've talked. I'll tell you right now, we're not going to Italy this year, maybe next year, but we need a bit more time to organise something like that. But I was thinking Adelaide worked pretty well, and I was thinking there's a couple of options. We could do a behind-the-scenes special visits Mornington Peninsula trip, which I could I could get some pretty exciting things going on down here if you wanted to come and do looking at our backyard and really seeing what the Mornington Peninsula has to offer. Also, the other trip that we've been talking about is possibly going to Tasmania. So that's a couple of nice options. I had a nice trip to Tasmania with my English friends second half of last year, and I think there's quite a lot to do. I think that in a way we'd be best to sort of concentrate ourselves on one or two regions rather than trying to get all over Tasmania. Penny's still very happy to organise Sicily, so that could be very interesting, Penny, to talk about into the future. Front yard and backyard, absolutely. And Jill's also suggested orange as an idea, which I think would also be nice, but we might have to have Craig on as our joint tour leader for orange, because I think, Craig, you know orange better than I do at the moment. Could be fun. So there's lots of options. We just need to work out when works for people and where you'd like to go. So perhaps you guys could send me a little email during the week if you're interested in doing a trip this year. Send me an email. Kay's going to Orange with the car club in May, and also Kay has been working on a cooking weekend for us at one of the RACV clubs, which could also be a fun option. So yes, I was thinking as well. Who's that? Fee. Beechworth, King Valley and Rutherglen sounds like a really good one, particularly I think as that's sort of, we could go through some of the area that's been affected by bushfires in the last little while, when they're ready for visitors, and put a bit of money back into those industries. So I think that could be fun. So lots of options. Not April, that's okay, Nareem. April's probably not. No, Easter time is not going to work for me, Rita, because I have to make wine. So we are challenged by vintage, and then winter, and then the end of the year. So it's always tricky to find a time that works for people. Last year we went to Adelaide in May, which could be a possibility, to go somewhere in May, or possibly June, but that's getting quite cold. I have to go overseas at some stage, but that hasn't been organised yet either. Or we could do maybe September, October, go somewhere. Then November, December starts getting a bit difficult, but we could possibly do something in November, but everyone starts getting busy then, getting ready for the end of the year and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, send me an email with when and where, taking into account I can't go anywhere until sort of at least late April, and probably not until May for me, because it looks like vintage is going to be a bit late. So, and also we don't want to go places where they're still trying to make wine, because they won't have time to look after us. You can't have my spring roll, Polly, because I just ate it. And she doesn't like them. It's weird because they're all vegetable. So yeah, so send me an email, kate@moorooducestate.com.au. If you send them to the me@moorooducestate.com.au, then Linda just has to forward them on to me. So it's easier just to send them straight to Kate. And if we've got enough people who are interested, we can certainly organise a trip. And maybe we'll think about going overseas next year. I think overseas sounds a bit scary at the moment anyway. So, you know, too many people being nasty to each other. And it's nice to have a holiday in Australia, and good to support people. So yeah, Sunraysia could be good in winter. Thanks, Kate. We could just go up to Noosa and take our own wine. Anyway, Jill just said that wouldn't be a bad idea. So look, there's lots of options. Yeah, maybe a long weekend in Noosa, everyone brings some wine and we do some masterclasses and go and eat some places and stuff. So, yeah, we'll look into stuff. We could go to Tasmania for the Midwinter Festival. That could be quite fun. Yeah, Dad just said we have to get nude. We have to all go swimming in the sea in the middle of winter in the nude at night if we go to Tassie for the festival. You don't have to? Okay, Mildura, etc. That's right, Kay. Mildura would be fun too, and I know lots of nice people in Mildura. So, yeah, there's lots of options. Email me, because you know what my brain's like when we're on this. I chat away and I go, what did I just say? When you answer my questions. So I won't remember any of this. So send me an email with your favourite ideas, and we'll collate them all and we'll come up with something fun. Palm Cove would also be nice, David. I agree. Yeah. We'd have to do lots of barbecuing, I think, if we went up north. But that could be nice. Okay, team. So has anyone got to tell us any? Shell and Andrew, I have to say, I very much enjoyed watching your trip in India unfold. It looked incredible. I'm assuming you went for a friend's wedding, because it looked like you were at multiple wedding celebrations for at least the first part of the trip. I have friends who are going, I've got 2 friends actually who are going to weddings in Sri Lanka this year. So that sounds like fun, and they're already worrying about where they're going to get all of their saris and things from. So if you've got any tips on that, I presume there are places you can rent them or borrow them from when you get there, for guests of weddings. No wine, much dancing. It just looked like such fun. We've got some people who they can have you. Oh, did you have to buy them all? Did you? Awesome. I might talk to you about that, because one of Peter's friends is going to a wedding in Sri Lanka, and she's a bit worried about all of that. Spotlight. David saying go to Spotlight. Very cheap. Okay, Shell, we'll talk. That sounds great. Thank you. You don't want to keep them for like dress up parties or anything? You could have like a themed dress up party for your next major decade party. Everyone could wear a sari. You'd be all set up for it. Yeah. So, yeah, I've just been here at Moorooduc and around. My sister and her family moved down just before Christmas, and they bought a place in Mount Eliza with a pool. So on the hot days, we've been going and jumping in the pool. Polly's very happy to jump in the muddy dam and swim around. She will not jump in the pool. She's absolutely freaked out by it. So we're working on that. I've been doing a lot of gardening and just resting up so that I'm the best version of me that I can be for 2026. Has it worked? Maybe I'm just very boring. Dandenong is great for Indian sari shopping. Rita's saying, oh, good, thank you. Shell, we thought about it too. Too much glitter. There's never too much glitter, Shell. It's always good. Cool, thanks, Rita. Needs to be somewhere where vines grow, Penny says. Okay, I think that's probably right. Although if we went somewhere where there were no vines growing, we could just bring wine from everywhere and just do that. But I think it's much more fun to go and visit the vineyards and visit the wineries in situ. I think I'm going to love you and leave you here because my Negroni, despite sipping it very, very slowly, is nearly finished. I'm sure you guys have finished your Negronis and are probably on to whatever you're drinking next. Jill says she would rather have McIntyre wine than Negroni. So next week we will be doing Moorooduc Estate wine. And of course, I haven't looked up what we're doing. Pete, can you tell me? Pete's looking it up. Someone else or Kay will be able to tell us. What's the first wine in box 1 of 2026? Is it the Robinson Chardonnay? I think we had a 2021 Robinson Chardonnay, something like that. It might be that. Anyway, well, I'll be sending you an email. There's Polly. She's settled down just as we're finishing. We have a lovely box coming up for box 1. Sorry? Robinson Chardonnay 21. I remembered correctly. Hurrah. I will send you an email on Monday. I'm going to Perth on Monday as well. I'll be flying back on Thursday morning. So I'm hoping very hard that there's not going to be any issues with that. If there are, I will stream from wherever I can stream, and you guys will have to drink the wine without me. But yeah, I'm looking forward to drinking 2021 Robinson Chardonnay with you next week. I'll come up with a fun recipe. Also, just a little update. I don't think they're even on. Is Karen, are you there today? I haven't seen your comments, but my eyes are a bit tired today. Yeah. Jill's in love with Fee's chicken terrine recipe, so it's highly possible that we might revisit that for next week. You've all got the recipe, so you can all start preparing for it now. But I'll have a bit of a think as well about something else that might be a little bit less preparation, bit quicker to pull together. But yes, Jill thought that was fantastic. And what I was going to say is that we have finally delivered the prizes for the best recipes that came through last year to Fee and to Alison. Karen, we still owe you a bottle of wine, but it's coming next week with your box of box 1 Drinks with Kate. And yeah, I hope that everyone has a lovely week. Stay cool. Great, terrific, authentic stores. Thank you, Rita. That's awesome. I'll pass that on to my friend as well. Fiona's sending me a text. What are you texting me about, Fiona? Have I forgotten something, or should I be looking at that later? Oh, pleasure. That was a winning recipe, I tell you what. It was very, very good. So yeah, thanks everyone. We'll have some more competitions this year. Hopefully some merch later in the year. We'll work up to maybe another hoodie or something like that. Love you all, team 2. Thank you, Shell. It's great to be back. It's great to be here for year 7. Can you believe it that we've been doing this? Some of us have been doing this for 7 years. John is doing Lamingtons next week, wine match. Joan is doing Lamingtons next week, wine match. It's not going to go with the Robinson Chardonnay, but Lamingtons sound great anyway, so delicious. Lovely to see you all. I'll see you all again next week. Take it easy. Cheers. Love ya. How do I end this? It's been too long. Bye.